Hello, everybody, and welcome to the American Family Fusion Small Business WebEx. My name is Mike Constantine, and I'm the Learning and Development Manager here at HomeSite. And I'm excited to be here and spend a little bit of time today with you talking about this great new program. Introduce myself. I've been the Learning and Development Manager here at HomeSite for about 2.5 years, but prior to that, I spent the better part of a decade working for American Family Insurance. I had an agency in Cleveland, Ohio, and then worked in the education department as a field training specialist. So it's always exciting when I can reconnect with my friends at AMFAM. I know how busy it can be trying to take time away from your agency to attend training, so we'll try to make sure that the next hour or so is a great use of your time. Just a couple of things before we get started. I want to go over the agenda. We're going to give you an overview of the program, give you a product overview. I'm really excited to take you through the quoting demo. I think you'll be amazed at just how simple the system is to use. We'll talk about the customer journey, a little bit about the agent journey, and then we'll show you some agency Q&A and some resources that you have available to you to make sure that you're successful in selling this product. So the first screen that you see currently is the small business sales system. So just as it says, the goal of the partnership, we really want to drive service differentiation and profitable growth through the delivery of an updated micro small business product and pricing solution. The really cool thing about this is that it's going to help you achieve speed to capture and grow market opportunities, which you may otherwise have to walk away from. It really does provide an ease of doing business. I think you'll see just how simple we make it from a quoting and binding perspective all the way through the service side of the business. It will allow additional agents to sell commercial who may have shied away from it in the past, frankly, because it can be a little bit intimidating. But we think we have a system set up here that will sort of take that fear out of it for you, and then really allow us to realize some of the back office efficiencies that go along with the servicing side of the insurance business. We all know that servicing doesn't typically generate revenue, and so the more time you can spend on selling the product, the better off you're going to be in your agency. So this product here is a mid-veil product, and all of the technology and the back office support is supported by HomeSite. So let's go ahead and start digging into it. So as far as what you need to know for Fusion, it's branded as an American Family Insurance product, so your customers won't see anything different there, and it's for new business policies only. So there will be no rewrites from a current legacy system over to Fusion. It's purely new business policies only. It's an ISO 2013 form, so again, pretty standard. Everybody should be in tune with how that works. In terms of the CPP quoting, that will be shut off in Policy Center. Quoting the contractor's policy will be shut off. Any artisan contractors, so think small contractors that you have, should be written through the small business program if the insured needs general liability or inland marine coverage. If they also need BPP, business personal property, or building coverage, you should quote the risk as an EAP so that it can be written on a business key policy. In terms of key pricing differences, you're going to be able to offer several additional discounts. There are some differences in the minimum premium. For instance, the minimum premium on the BOP policy is $450 if the insured has an additional AMFAM policy of any kind in force. It's a little bit higher than the current minimum premium on a BOP, but really is in line with what the industry's minimum premiums are. The general liability minimum starts off at around $285. The quoted premium is the final premium, so there are no additional debits or credits that will be applied. And I think when you see the system, you're going to just be amazed at just how simple it does all the work for you. The quote that you get is the premium, so the system does all the work for you. All claims are going to be handled through Gallagher Bassett initially. They're a leading independent claims administrator, and eventually new claims will transition over to AMFAM Claims Department. But for right now, that's going to be handled by Gallagher Bassett. And the last thing I want to point out on this slide is there's not going to be any initial integration with Apex. So you'll receive an email on policy billing notifications, change notifications, lapses, policy documents, things like that. And it's suggested that you manually create a folder to Apex for policies that you write through this program. In terms of agent impacts, these are obviously always important. We'll look at some of these. So in terms of commission, commissions are the same as your current commercial business that you write through the AMFAM legacy systems. So nothing changes there. So it's 15% on new business, 10% on renewal. In terms of app count, we all know how important both app count and commission is. You're going to receive a production credit the same as you do today with commercial farm ranch business. For your bonus plan, any written premium from this program is going to be included in AMFAM's commercial farm ranch premium bonus, and the written premium and paid losses will also be included in the profit portion of the agent bonus. So the ever important All-American points, this is always exciting. One of the things I miss most are the All-American. All policies written will receive 8 points per $100 in premium, which is double the current target market points and 4 times higher than the commercial farm ranch. Workers' compensation with Fusion, small business classes will receive double points. Commercial umbrella points can be written with AMFAM, and you will receive 12 points per 100. Agents receive, again, 8 All-American points per $100 of premium, which is double the current target market business and 4 times other commercial multi-peril policies. So a real opportunity here to earn some additional points towards the All-American trip. In terms of contract termination payments, premiums through this platform will be factored into any agent contract termination payments as if it were written through AFMIC. And then out of territory licensing, this is really cool that you'll be allowed to write policies outside of AMFAM's 19-state footprint. So I know that that's probably very exciting to a lot of you who conduct business in other states. Just keep in mind, though, that you must be licensed properly from that state at your own expense. We're going to give you a slew of online resources to use to help you support and sell the product. You can link to a small business launchpad from the Commercial Lines website, and within that you can search for any type of business to see what platform you should write them on. So if you're wondering, gee, do I write it here, do I write it there, the launchpad will have all those answers for you. It's also going to contain a number of other useful links. So the AFT form that you're going to need for small business sales systems, this is required to be completed by the insured. The AMFAM eligibility index, it's going to simply tell you whether or not a class of business is eligible to be written, and if it's not in the index, then you must write it through brokerage. The Commercial Farm Ranch Fusion link is also under the Small Business tab, Resources, and it has a demo video that you can watch, a copy of this training presentation that we're watching here today. We also put the product guide out there, which gives you all the nooks and crannies of the particular policy, because on this WebEx we'll simply just kind of give you an overview. But if you're one of those people who likes to know every single piece about the policy, we have that for you as well, and that can all be found in the product guide. In terms of commercial lines questions, contact the Commercial Lines First team, right? So for any policy related questions, your point of contact should be extension 76000, or simply drop an email to the email box that you see listed there on your screen. This is a snapshot of what the Launchpad looks like, so I won't spend a ton of time here. You guys can go in there, click around, play around with it, and take a look at all the resources that are helpful to you. I'd like to get into the product overview now, and again, recognizing that everybody who might be watching this has some commercial lines experience, or even if you don't have a ton of commercial lines experience, I'm really just going to give you the highlights of the product. And as I mentioned to you, all of the detail can be found in the product guide, which you can find out on the website. So we'll really sort of focus in on what we're selling, where we can sell it, and spend a good chunk of time talking about our underwriting appetite. So in terms of what we're selling and where we can sell it, we're offering a BOP and a commercial general liability policy. And as we talked about, the minimum issue is $500 in most states, but they can qualify for an affinity discount if they have another AMFAM policy. We're really looking at small businesses here. So when we say small businesses, think small mom and pop type businesses, small artisan contractors. These are all the types of businesses that are really easy to go out there and find, and I think that you'll see that our underwriting appetite will fit the needs for most of those. One of the things that I always struggled with when I was an agent was being able to find a business that would fit into the program that we had at that time. This program really sort of eliminates that. So you'll see that we have very limited requirements around years in business and a really liberal sort of approach to what businesses will take on. As I've mentioned earlier, the product is underwritten by Midvale and is fully branded as American Family on the policy documents. So there's no need to worry about your customers wondering, gee, I've never heard of Homesite or Midvale or whatever, but it's branded as an American Family policy. So your folks should enjoy that. Let's take a quick look at the BOP in terms of our business eligibility. And as I mentioned to you, and I can't stress this enough, we're really looking at those small businesses. So businesses with less than 30 employees for the BOP, less than $10 million in sales, 2 or fewer claims in the past 5 years, and no more than $2 million in total insurable property. You can see there are some restrictions around coastal guidelines. And we've got a list of some target business types. Just as we like to put here on the screen, it is not all inclusive, but this is just kind of a high-level overview of what you can write for the BOP. So think auto services, printing, small retail, restaurants, that type of thing. Now for the coverage options, those are listed here, and you can take a look at those. I think it's better to demonstrate those when we do the quoting demonstration here later in the WebEx. You'll also see a theme with the slides in that we look at the eligibility, the target business type, and the coverage options. So just to sort of let you know that in advance. A snapshot of some of the things that are eligible versus ineligible for the BOP. In terms of what's ineligible, auto and boat dealers, motorcycle dealers, bars and taverns, you know, the fun stuff, right, as we used to like to say in agency. We're also going to shy away from daycares, habitational builders, so somebody that goes in and builds a whole apartment complex or a whole development of homes. We're going to shy away from that. Religious organizations, transportation services, those are the things that are not in our underwriting appetite. Obviously, on the left-hand side, we see eligible, and that's assuming that they meet all of our underwriting criteria. But I think you'll find that that's pretty easy to do, so as long as the business fits our appetite. As far as auto services are concerned, this is exciting. I mean, this is something that's relatively new to the program. And if you look at eligible businesses, we've got a wide array of things down the right-hand side of the screen that now fit into our appetite. So everything from tire dealers to car washes, glass repair. This covers a lot of different businesses in the auto services class. There are some mandatory endorsements if you write one of those, and there are also some optional endorsements. You can get more details on all of those endorsements in the product guide. Discounts. This is always important. So the affinity discount is 10% for a BOP policy, and they must have at least one active American Family policy in force. And regardless of how many policies they have, it does not increase the discount. With the affinity discount, it's going to go ahead and lower the minimum premium to $450 in most of the states. The next one you'll see there is the responsible shopper discount, either 2% or 5% if you're quoting the policy 15 to 30 days before the effective date. But remember, when you're quoting it, to make sure you put in the actual date you want the policy to be effective. Because what happens if you don't is you'll enter today's date, for instance, or tomorrow's date, and if they don't want the policy to start then the policy is bound ahead of time, and it won't give them the responsible shopper discount. So we're really giving them a discount for quoting it 15 to 30 days in advance. So if you're just putting in today or tomorrow's date, that discount's not going to show up. So it's real important to put in the date that they would want the policy to start. Loss-free, paid in full, and loyalty discount are the other three discounts that are available. You can read those specifically there, but again, it looks, it's a nice array of discounts that you'll be able to offer your customers. Moving on to the GL policy. We offer a GL policy that also includes the option to purchase professional liability, inland marine, and contractors E&O. The minimum issue premium here is $275, but typically varies by the product that you buy. And you can quote this one as far out as 45 days in advance of the effective date. And just like the BOP, we're looking for small businesses, small artisan types of businesses. Employees have to be less than 10. Your annual payroll cannot exceed $500,000, and your annual sales cannot exceed $10 million. We do have some years of experience thresholds in place here for the contracting or servicing segment, as well as door, window, and garage installation and handyman. So you can see that it cannot be less than 3 for contracting or servicing, and not less than 5 for door, window, or garage door installation. You'll see the note at the bottom of the screen that there is a charge to add each additional insured to the policy, and that price would range between $30 and $50. In terms of eligible and not eligible, if you look at the small artisan contractors, you should think about folks that do appliance installation or electricians, janitors, janitorial services, painters, plumbers, those sorts of things really fit well into our product offering. Technology consultants are eligible, but they are not eligible for professional liability. So just a couple of notes that you'll see there from the asterisks. You'll also notice that things like financial advisors, lawyers, and accountants are ineligible for general liability, but they are in fact eligible for the BOP. So you might not be able to give them a GL policy, but they may qualify for a BOP, so please be sure to take a look at that if you come into a situation where you're quoting one of those. Now, how does it all tie together? Well, with our GL policy, you cannot purchase one of the other 3 items unless you have the underlying GL policy. So it's not a la carte. You have to have the baseline policy, and from there you have the ability to add on professional liability, contractors E&O, or inland marine. And there's a little snapshot there of what those 3 things cover that you can read, but again, pretty straightforward. So professional liability specifically covers financial losses. E&O covers poor or incomplete work. Inland marine, think about things that are materials or supplies that you have to install, maybe some tools and equipment, things of that nature. PL policy, their annual sales cannot exceed $1 million. They are not allowed to have any previous professional liability claims, and there are some states where it's not currently available. But I think that you'll see that most of the states, from those of you that are listening in here today, you shouldn't have a problem. Target business types, business consultants, personal trainers, and then coverage options are listed on the bottom there. Coverage, one thing to point out on the coverage options, coverage is a claims made and reported situation. So then you have some examples of some things that might be eligible for professional liability. So consultants that fall into one of the following sectors. So market research, project management, public record consultants, AV, personal trainers. Classes that are ineligible, just to highlight a few: mortgage brokers, technology consultants, lawyers, accountants. Moving through to the contractors E&O, around eligibility, again, you're seeing a theme here, hopefully, less than 10 employees with a payroll that does not exceed $500,000 and annual sales that do not exceed $1 million in sales. Another pretty broad range of eligible fields. This is, again, not all inclusive, so you'll find some other things as you go through the product guide as a resource to see what we can write, and also when you're in the system quoting, you'll be able to see the additional classes as well. So again, a theme here in terms of some ineligible stuff: carpentry, framing, roofing, home builders, businesses with more than 15 full-time employees or greater than $1 million in annual sales. Subcontractor costs must be less than 25% of their total annual sales. And then last but not least, inland marine. And a pretty standard setup here, you've got your blanket coverage, your scheduled coverage, and your installation coverage. With blanket, it's, as you know, it's unscheduled tools and equipment, and there's a $500 deductible per claim. With scheduled, this is anything with a value of $1,000 or over. And again, not uncharacteristic in that we would require a description of the tool, the make, the model, serial number, things of that nature. You have 3 different deductible options there: $500, $1,000, and $2,500. And then installation coverage, and this is for things that might be insured at a job site, a temporary storage location, or you're moving it from one job site to the next. Deductible options are $500, $1,000, and $2,500, and the coverage limits that are available here are $5,000, $10,000, or $25,000. In terms of the process flow, there is some information that we ask that you validate. Now, we have a post-bind validation process that we do here on our end as well, but I always like to remind folks here that, you know, those of us that are agents or have been agents recognize that we sort of have this sixth sense when we're talking to our customers. And oftentimes when our customers are talking to us, we can sort of pick up on things that others may not be able to. So when you're talking to your named insured, make sure that you know, you're sort of participating in active listening, right, and finding out that they are who they say they are, and that their company matches what they're trying to insure. Go out and conduct a quick search of their website just to make sure that they're not selling something or participating in something that would otherwise be ineligible. I always like to give an example of, you know, if somebody owns a flower shop and you, by visiting their website, find out that, yeah, they do in fact own a flower shop, but they also sell some fireworks to go for the 4th of July for the little town festival. That's going to be problematic, and you otherwise may not know that unless you did some sort of a, you know, a search of their website or something. Make sure that the business location matches the address. Avoid using a P.O. box. Make sure that the address on the policy corresponds to the physical location of their operations. So these are just some things that you're probably already doing, and we just ask that you continue to do these as you look to bring business into this program. All right, with that, I'm going to bounce over to our training site now and walk us through a quote. So bear with me here while I pull that up. So let's start back at the beginning here. You're likely going to have a login screen where you're going to enter in your agency identifier, so probably your agent district code, and it's going to bring you out to a site that looks like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in some fictitious information and walk through the quote, take us all the way through the bind and purchase, and then we'll go back and we'll look at some of the communication that the customer sees. So as you can see, it's already asking me, okay, what type of industry do you want to quote? So I'm going to say that I'm going to quote a bicycle store. You can see that it starts pre-filling based on the letters that I type in. I'm going to put in a zip code there of 53001 and click next. I'm going to get to the business location screen, and it's going to say, okay, Mike, do you own the building? Do you lease the building? Is it a condo that you own or lease, or is it a kiosk location that you would like to insure? Those are my choices. I'm going to go ahead and select that I lease the building and click next. And what I see here now are the products that are available. Again, this is a training site, so in production, you may see something that looks a little bit different, wherein you will see a couple of different boxes. So you might see a box for a business owner policy, a general liability policy, or a workers' comp policy. Those are what we call widgets. You could click on the products that are available to your customer. If it's available to your customer for the business class that you put in and for the zip code, you could see up to 3 different widgets on this screen. But right now, because we're in a training environment, we only see the BOP. So we're going to go ahead and select the BOP, and we're going to click Next. And what you'll see here is a screen that pops up that's going to ask us some basic information about the business. So tell us the name of the business. So we're going to say that it is Mike's Bikes. And the address of my location, it's a very crowded intersection because all of the businesses that I do in our training atmosphere are at 123 Main Street. It's very congested. Probably like trying to get out of American Parkway at around 5:30 at night or so. All right. You can see that it pre-fills that this is in Adel, Wisconsin, Sheboygan County, so that's good. It pre-fills all that. When would I like my policy to start? Well, if I have questions about what's being asked here, I can simply click on the question mark. It says, please enter the start date for your policy. So if I click on the calendar, let's go ahead and put this out a little bit so that we can qualify for a nice little discount. Let's say we want it to start on March 20th. Put in my email address here. And if I have the website address, let's put it in here. But if I don't, you see that it is listed as optional. Okay. And it wants to know, what year did I start my business? Well, we have a booming bicycle business. It's great to ride a bicycle around Madison and all the other areas in Wisconsin, as an example, when the weather is nice. And we've been doing that for a long time. We've had our business since 2010. Our gross annual sales, we're going to say for the purposes of this quote, are $350,000. But if you're not sure what we mean by estimated gross annual sales, again, you can click on the question mark and it gives you a definition of that. In terms of the number of employees we have 7 employees. And now it wants to know about my company's legal structure. So it wants to know how we're set up. Are we set up as a partnership, a sole proprietor, an LLC, a joint venture? For the purposes of the quote, I'm going to go ahead and select sole proprietor. And if I have any other American Family policies, enter the policy number here. So I'll put in a fictitious policy number so that we have something. And that's there so that I can qualify for that affinity discount that we talked about on the earlier screen. Now it's going to ask me a couple of questions about claims. If I have 0, I mark 0. If I have 1 or 2, I want to check the appropriate box. And what I see happening is I see some questions popping up that says, okay, tell us what the claim was, when it was reported, how much was paid, and what type it was. So in this case, I've checked 2. I see 2 boxes for that. If I were to check 1, I would only see 1. If I were to select 3 or more and try to get a quote, it would automatically D&Q me, which is, good because I don't have to go the whole way through the quote to find out that my customer would be ineligible. I simply would just mark it, and I would know after I click the Get Quote button. But we're going to mark 0, and we're going to say that our building does have an automatic sprinkler system. If I have an additional interest, I can add that as well. So I click Open, and as you can see, I have a whole slew of options here that I can check relative to additional interest. I would just check the one that's appropriate, and once I've filled everything out on this screen, I go ahead and click Get Quote. What's happening now, as you see those little circles spinning, is that the system is taking the information that we put in, and it's going to pump back a quote for us. Or it's not. It's going to be, so if it gives us a quote, then that means our business is eligible. Or if we get a D&Q message, it means it's not eligible. The one thing I will tell you is that it's really important to trust the system. If the system lets you go forward and it gives you a premium, then you are able to write this policy. If it gives you a D&Q message, you're not going to be able to write the policy. The system does all of the underwriting behind the scenes for you. I will also tell you that we are working in a training environment, so oftentimes this system tends to work slower than what you'll see in production. In production, we probably would have already had our premium, so the system is just working right now to try and generate the premium for us. So once we get the premium, we'll take a look. So as I said, our connection timed out because we're in a training environment. Let's click back. Sometimes I can trick the system and click Get Quote again, and it will work. And if not, we'll just go over to some screen captures. There we go. So it worked that time. Again, training environment, sometimes little quirky things happen, but that will not happen in production. So as we see here, we've got a quote, which means, hey, we can write this policy. We see that we have a quote number, and we have an annual premium, $485 a year. I also see the discounts that I've applied for, or that I've qualified for, I should say. My loss-free discount, my responsible shopper discount because I was 15 to 30 days out on the effective date, and then I also have my affinity discount, which is my American Family Policyholder Marketing discount. So it factors all those into the rate, which is why that rate that you see here is less than the minimum amount that we showed you early on. So that's okay that it's less than the minimum because it were the discounts that took it down. Now from here, it has pre-packaged a bunch of coverages that it feels are specific to the type of business we own. This is where you as the agent can go in and have the discussion with your customer about what's right for their business. Ultimately, that's driven through the discussion that you have with them, but I like how the system defaults to $1 million, $2 million. All of you know as small business owners yourself that when people sue nowadays, they typically start at $1 million. So that's a great starting point from a liability perspective. If you click the drop down, you can see that you're able to go as low as $300,000 or as high as $2 million. So it's really up to you and the customer's needs in terms of what they select here, but the system does default to $1 million, $2 million. Scrolling down, you can see that the other coverages that it's pre-filled, so damages to premises rented. Again, anything with a drop-down caret, I can change, either increase or decrease the coverages on. Per person medical expenses, let's bump that up to $10,000. And you'll see if you're looking at the screen, you see the continue button right up here. When I change a coverage, that will change to update quote. So I'm going to change that, but we're not going to update our quote until we are finished changing all of our coverages. Scrolling down, in terms of property coverage, I see my business personal property coverage. Now, everybody probably knows that BPP coverage is a real driver of premium. So right now I'm sitting at $485 a year, and I've only changed my medical payments. But if I bump this up, just let's say $100,000, right? And then when I recalculate the quote, more than likely we're going to see a significant increase in the premium. So you want to make sure that your customer is adequately covered, and a way to do that is to make sure that you're covering not only their entire business, but really focusing in on their business personal property. Accounts receivable, I'm good with that. As the customer, valuable papers and records, fire department surcharge, ED coverage, interruption of computer operations, so on and so forth. Down here you see that I have outdoor property, and I don't have a caret to change it, so that is the amount that I have to purchase, is $2,500, and the same thing is true with personal property off premises. Business income and extra expense. The other really neat feature, as far as I'm concerned, here with our quoting application is it includes the optional coverages that it thinks are relevant to this type of business. It will automatically check those for us, and it knows, based on the type of business we have, whether or not we should select this optional coverage. So I chose a bicycle shop, so it has selected monies and securities, equipment breakdown coverage, as some optional coverages. If I had selected a flower shop, One of the things that would have added would be equipment breakdown coverage, which is huge for a flower shop. If I own a flower shop, I have a lot of perishable stock. If my equipment breakdown coverage is there, it's going to impact my business. In the case of a bike store, perhaps I have something, a special type of tool that I use that if it breaks down, I'm going to be out of business for a while as well. By expanding those out, optional coverages, I see the others that I can add: hired and non-owned, employee dishonesty, electronic commerce, so on and so forth. So you would add the ones that you and your customer feel are most appropriate to their business. Property deductible here, let's go ahead and bump that up to $1,000. And my windstorm or hail deductible is not applicable because I just leased the building in the case of the quote. I'm going to click Update Quote, and let's see what our price comes back at now. So like I said before, the system is doing its calculations all behind the scene, making the changes to the quote as we've entered them, and we're just waiting for a premium. And so our new premium is $738. So we do see a little bit of an increase there. And you also see something else different now. You see that you have the option to go on monthly payments. Before, we just saw the $485. And because it was at the minimum level, or actually below the minimum level with the discounts, that was a paid in full policy. Now that we're above the minimum payment, this is where I now have the option to offer my customers a payment option. And we'll look at what those options are when we get to the purchase screen. So if the customer is happy with everything you've selected here, you can go ahead and click Continue, and it's going to take us to the policy review screen, quote review screen. This is simply a screen where I'm going to go through the coverages one more time with my customer, make sure that it's exactly what they've requested. If I want to make any changes at this point, I simply would scroll to the bottom and click back. But if I don't need to make any changes, I can click Buy Now, and it's going to take me to a screen where I can purchase the policy. So you see that it carried over my email address. Now what will happen in production is that their email address will carry over, there being your customer, and it will also pre-populate a password for them. You will not need to put a password in production for them. And the reason this is because it's going to send the customer an email after they purchase the policy that will allow them to set up their Manage Existing Account, which will allow them to do a wide variety of things that we'll look at here momentarily. The only reason I'm putting a password in here is because we're in a training environment. But in production, this will already be pre-filled with a password that you will not be able to see. It will just be a standard password. Put in a password. If it likes it, it gives me the green check. If it doesn't, it would give me a red X. I'm going to create my account. I'm going to say Mike. Okay. Confirm my email address here. Copy and paste. And once I've put that in, I can go ahead and click Submit. And it's going to take me to the screen where I'm going to enter in my credit card number. Now, I always like to see this when I do a practice quote, that I am in fact working in a non-production site. So that tells me I'm in a training environment and I'm not actually purchasing a policy. This is where I can select whether or not I want to go and make my payment with a credit card or an e-check. Credit card is the default. E-check is if they want to have an electronic withdrawal from a checking or savings account, and then they would need to agree to have the payment deducted from their account. Remember that if they select this, you'll have to get that form signed by the customer, and that's separate of this application here. it also automatically defaults to auto pay. So auto pay means that their account, if they're an auto pay, will automatically be charged to the card or the checking account that they have on file with us for their monthly payment, for their annual renewal, all of those things. If they do not wish to participate in auto pay, you must deselect that button. But I'm going to leave it checked, and the name on the card is going to be Aaron Rogers, and his card number is, now please don't try to use this fake credit card number out on Amazon, even though it's Aaron Rodgers' card, as a joke. And we'll go ahead and put in an expiration. And it's going to carry over our billing address from what I entered on the front screen, so just make sure that that's okay. If it's a different billing address from the mailing address, make sure that you go in and change that. And then I can see my billing cycle choices. So if I pay in full, I'm going to save $41, it's $738. If I go monthly, it's $779, and if I click installments, I can see that I have a down payment due of $129.84, and then the remainder of the premium is spread out over the remainder of the term, and then the policy upon renewal would start up all over again. So let's click annual pay. You see here that I've got a customer care department, which routes right over here to our great team in Phoenix or in Akron, Ohio, and there are specially trained teams that are there for both you and the customer if they have questions about their bill or they need to make any changes to their policy. We'll talk a little bit about them when we go back to the screen, but you always have a resource number available. So if they understand and agree to the terms that you just explained to them, you check the box. There's a legal acknowledgement. And then there's the go paperless option. If they want to go paperless, you can enroll them in paperless, which means that they would get all of their policy documents via email or saved over to their managed account. It does not automatically check that. So if they want paperless, you have to check it here. Otherwise, they'll just receive their documentation in the mail in terms of their bill and such. They need to agree to the terms of use. There's a fraud notice. We're going to go ahead and click submit, and it says, hey, Mike, you forgot to put in your phone number. And I left that blank intentionally so that you can see what happens if you try to submit it without putting in all the required information. So I'll go ahead and put in, and now it likes that. Now we'll go ahead and submit again, and it's processing my payment at this point. So as you can see, the system is extremely easy to use. It does all of the underwriting behind the scenes. There's no additional work from your perspective other than quoting and selling the policy. We handle all of the servicing piece on our side. There's no signed application. There's none of that stuff. Now I've clicked purchase, and it says, congratulations. Welcome to American Family Insurance. Here's your new policy. Here's your policy number. If you have any questions, you can reach us by phone or by email. What happens from this point is the customer then will receive, let me go back over to the PowerPoint here and show you what their journey sort of looks like. So the customer gets the quote from you, they purchase the policy, they're provided support by our customer care center. The claims, if they have any, are handled by Gallagher Bassett. And then we hope, obviously, as I'm sure you do, that the customer renews the policy. They then get an email in their email inbox branded as American Family that says, hey, thank you, welcome to American Family Insurance. Please confirm your email. So by confirming their email, what it will allow them to do is say, okay, you've been verified. Now you can log into your account and view your policy information. When I do that, the first time I log in, I'll have to set up 2 security questions. And these are your standard security questions for verification purposes. So you'll see questions like, what is the name of your best friend? What is the name of your favorite movie? So whatever question the customer selects, they only need to set this up one time. Once they submit the answers and the system accepts them, they then will have access to their Manage Existing account. And from here, this is where they can see all of the information on their policy. They can see their expiration date, where they are in their renewal, their policy type. The thing that everybody really enjoys most about this, however, is the ability to get their policy documents immediately. So from the time you click the sell button and you get that policy number back, the customer can go out and print out a certificate of insurance. They can print out their deck page. They can print out the entire policy if they'd like by clicking on coverage forms, all the endorsements. Whatever it is that they want to print out is available to them immediately. This is an example of what a certificate of liability insurance looks like that they can print out from the screen. This is really, really popular with customers because, as most of you know, oftentimes you need this to perhaps show a landlord that you've secured insurance, or maybe to pull a permit, you have to show evidence of insurance. And the customer will have access to this immediately. If for some reason they can't log into the system, they can just contact our customer contact center, the number that I showed you before, and somebody in our contact center can pull those documents down and fax them to them or get them to them in another method. They also see their billing screen, so they can see how they're currently set up to make payments, what their payment history is, what their schedule is. If they would like to change the credit card or the checking account that the policy auto renews to, they can do that right here on the screen. And just as you can see also, that we always put the phone number for the customer care center, or if they need to file a claim. So everything is right there. So you can see the payment plans, paid in full or monthly, the types of payments that we can accept, pretty standard there, credit cards, checking account. I will remind you again that the funds transfer authorization form is a new process that is exclusive to small business sales, and it must be completed for all new business transactions. The way that it works is one copy is given to the insured, and one copy needs to be scanned and emailed to the first team. It is extremely important that all fields on the form are completed, and the process will be audited for compliance. So this sort of walks you through that process here in terms of completing the form and the payment processing and things of that nature. We've already talked about who handles the claims right now. It's Gallagher Bassett, with the intent at some point, those will be handled by AMFAM, but as of now, it's Gallagher Bassett. The claims philosophy is fast, fair, and efficient. Very easy for the customer to file a claim simply by calling the 800 number, and the only thing they'll need to have is their policy number and a way for the claims adjuster to get back in touch with them. Customer support. This again speaks to our customer contact center in Phoenix, Arizona, and in Akron, Ohio. This is a specifically trained team who can go in and provide manual certificates of insurance. They can add additional insureds, process changes. They can assist the customer accessing their Manage Existing account, process payments, all of that stuff. Customer can also elect to go through the agent for all the servicing needs on the policies if they choose. There is an 800 number there and the hours of operation, as well as the customer support center mailbox. As far as your journey, it's important to remember you're selling an American Family labeled product, and you have the really great ability to write policies outside of American Family's operating territory. You will, again, I said this at the beginning, but just for a reminder, need to create a manual folder in Apex to store your policy information, and this process walks you through the agent journey here. In terms of how to integrate that with Apex, there's a simple walkthrough here, and there's also a video included with this slide deck that you have access to if you go out to the hub that we talked about early in the call. If you click that video, it shows you, it gives you a video tutorial on how to create manual folders and integrate it with Apex. And this slide just represents the step-by-step process. Agency support. So how are you notified? Again, email notifications for the transaction types listed will be sent to you with policy documentation, and that's the mailbox that they will come from, commercialservice@homesite.com, and the transaction report will is provided to outline the activity from the prior day. So make sure that when you sell a policy that you're looking for that. I would encourage you to stay engaged throughout the process to help us build the program into what it needs to be, and so that it works really well for all of you. We did also talk about agency support channels a little bit, but it essentially works the same way as it does for our customers. You can either call or you can email, and you can talk to a specifically trained team who would be able to help you with any of the needs relative to this product. So again, they can process payments, they can answer questions about cancellation inquiries. A couple things that I want to point out that they are not able to do. They are not able to make exceptions to underwriting eligibility, so there's no sense in trying. The system will let you quote it. It will let you quote it, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. You just need to trust the system. They're also not able to make any modification to pricing, and they're not also not able to add any discounts. So those three things right there are super important to understand, that if you call, they're not going to be able to help you with those. But everything else, they're there to help you and make it much easier for you to take the service piece out of it, so that you can simply focus on selling. A couple of common questions here. Does the insured need an email address to write a product through this program? Yes, they must have an email address because they need it to log into their managed existing account. Especially important, do not use your email or your customer service rep's email when quoting or binding a risk. Policy renews automatically. We talked about that. A policyholder can request changes to the policy after they purchase it simply by calling the customer service line. The changes they can make to their managed existing account are listed there as well, so they can change or update their email, their payment info. They can make additional changes to their policy by calling the service center. The coverage is in effect and can be selected to begin any date after today's date. So today is February I think the 23rd. So they can go in, and if you write the policy would be effective on February 24th. Actually, today's the 24th, so it would be the 25th. So one day after today. Pretty standard there. And we hope that they never do, and I'm sure you do too, but if they need to cancel their policy, they can do so by calling the customer support center during the hours of operation, and they can also submit a written cancellation to the P.O. Box address that you see listed on the screen. That really sort of wraps up the overview of the program and the quoting demonstration. I would really be happy if you could go out and complete a post-training assessment simply by going out to mycorecenter.com or just clicking on this link here and register using your email address to take a short assessment about what we've covered here today. I know how difficult it is to step away from the business of agency, so I really, really appreciate your time today to spend some time and sit back and learn a little bit more about this exciting program. Hopefully you've seen that it's a super simple product to sell, to quote, and it will make your commercial production that much better, because all you have to focus on is selling. So again, we appreciate everybody's time. And I'd just like to say, on behalf of everyone here at HomeSite, we wish you a lot of success in selling the product, and best of luck.